Hello everyone, my name is Kitetsu and welcome back to my channel. It is finally here. To be honest, I've been waiting for this since the very start of the Age of Sigmar. I absolutely love the Aelves, and I don't know why it has taken Games Workshop so long to release some new ones. And I'm not just talking the two individuals that came as part of Silver Tower, I'm talking about a proper army release. What we have here is basically a massive update to the Daughters of Cain. Everything I was talking about in the rumour videos has basically been confirmed. Everything that I was worried about turned out to be not really an issue at all. There were people saying perhaps we're not going to get any figures at all, and I was saying that's very unlikely, but at the same time the thing about rumours is nothing is ever 100% guaranteed until it is actually properly confirmed and revealed officially. I had a tiny little bit of doubt last night when I saw that 1 minute teaser of Morathi sitting in her throne room talking to the witch elves, and I suddenly thought, well, she doesn't look the way I was expecting, which is to be basically a massive kind of demonic snake-like being. And just for that smallest second I thought, have I actually been wrong with all of this stuff I was saying? Perhaps we weren't going to get a model of Morathi at all. But it turns out everything was fine and I didn't need to worry because everything that was in that leak that I reported a while back was pretty much spot on. So let's have a look at the figures so far. If you want the very quick breakdown of everything revealed so far, it is all in front of you right now. We have these new kind of harpie units on the top left. We have these kind of gorgon-like creatures on the right. And both of those kits are going to have two different build options, which I will talk about in a minute. Then the bottom two images I think are both Morathi, and I think the rumour of her having two different forms is going to be correct. We are, of course, also going to have a brand new Battletome. So really what we're looking at is two different units, two different versions of Morathi, and a Battletome. Which, to be honest, I'm actually super happy with, because there was a slight part of me that was thinking, well, what if we get nothing at all? And to be honest, the figures we do have from, I believe, around about the end times are not actually that old, and they still hold up pretty well, especially like if you look at the top right, when you put the witch elves alongside the new models, they fit in really well. And it's making me think that this is actually going to be a very cool faction. So let's look at these units in a little bit more detail. First of all, we have the kind of harpie-like unit, and we were absolutely convinced that this was going to happen. They kept showing drawings and artwork, and they are a classic Dark Elf model that was in severe need of updating and in fact wasn't even available for purchase anymore because it had been discontinued long ago by Games Workshop. It looks like we're going to have two completely different build options. We're going to have the ones on the left which are armed with spears and they have these full face helmets. And then we have the ones on the right which are armed with kind of sickles, I guess they're called, and a more open exposed face. I really like the design of the helmets, and in fact I actually like the design of the exposed faces too. I think Games Workshop are a bit hit and miss when it comes to the design of their faces, but these ones I think they've got spot on, and I'm really happy with them. I also like the fact they've got a lot of helmets on the units that completely cover the faces, because I'm normally a big fan of that on models as well. Look how nasty those shields look as well. They look like they've got blades on the edges. So that's super cool. In terms of their rules, we have absolutely no idea, but in terms of how the models look, I'm absolutely over the moon with them. I think they look really cool. They're very dynamic. They really do look the part, and to be honest, I was not interested in harpies, if I'm going to be brutally honest with you. You know, they're cool, but I'm not that fast. But looking at these models, I'm totally on board and I'm absolutely going to be buying some of them. We also had a slight zoomed in version of the one at the bottom there, but to be honest, it didn't really tell us anything we didn't know. Next, we've got the gorgon-like creatures, and we get a sense of scale looking at the one at the top left there because she's standing amongst some witch elves. I was personally expecting them to be bigger, but I'm actually more happy with the scale that they've gone for. I didn't want them to be absolutely massive like a Bloodrack Medusa. But anyway, these look really cool as well. I love the detail of the armour in particular. They look like very classic light elven armour that you always see in fantasy settings. and I absolutely love the helmets again. I just think they look exactly right. With this kit too, there are two different build options. You've got the ones on the left which have the spears and the ones on the right which have bow and arrows. I was actually quite surprised that they've gone for an archer version of these units. And my only thought is I'm guessing they're going to move pretty quickly and kind of occupy like a skirmish fast attack unit that can get exactly where you want them and lay down some suppressive fire. The bottom two images I believe are also showing the respective kind of champions of the units. We've got the one on the left which has got a heart in his hand, and something about his actual arm looks a little bit kind of mutated. I don't know if that's just the way it's been painted, but unless it's meant to just be covered in blood, it also looks like some of the muscle of his arm is actually exposed. And then we've got the one on the right who has that mini kind of dragon thing on his arm, and well done to everyone who realised from the rumour mill that that was going to be an elven model, because you were spot on. We don't know what these things are going to do, but I assume they're going to have some really cool little things on the war scrolls, such as maybe attacking enemy units that get too close or something like that. I'm also a big fan of the elven runes that are present on their chest plates. They look super cool. We also saw some existing models, and I think really the only thing to say here was that I was just really pleased that they kind of fit in so well amongst the new models. You know, they're not going to look out of place in the slightest bit. The first time I saw the glance of the Doomfire Warlocks, I think they're called at the top left there, I actually thought they were new models. And I think by the time you've just rebased all of these figures on round bases like they have here, and to be honest, I'm just a massive fan of round bases. I think models stand out individually a lot more than when they're on the square bases. But I think when you do base them in this way, I think they will fit in perfectly with the new releases, and I think that's just a big credit to Games Workshop. Lastly, we saw who I'm assuming is Morathi on foot. And I think we are actually going to, after all, see two versions of Morathi. I think this is her, and I think the large demonic version that we will look at in a minute is her as well. This is obviously the queen that we saw in last night's teaser video, and now I know that this is definitely Morathi, because on the Warhammer community website we had just this little blurb of text describing the release, and it says down the bottom there, they have an unbreakable faith in Cain and their queen Morathi. So that finally dispels that rumour. As for the sculpt, I think she looks very cool. The design they've gone for with the wings is kind of very interesting and it looks impressive. Hopefully they won't be too fragile. But the only slight criticism I have is if you look at the top right image, I think her legs just look a tiny bit awkward. I can see the pose they were going for and the effect they wanted, but at just that angle I think they look a little bit strange. Hopefully that is literally just a product of the angle they've taken a picture of her at in that image, and when we actually see the proper model in person it will look a lot better. But I do think she looks cool. She has her trademark spear and she looks pretty cool amongst the whole army when you look at her on the bottom right down there. So the final thing we saw was little snippets of this massive demonic creature, which I'm pretty sure is the alternate form of Morathi. It was very frustrating because they kind of teased it and we didn't really get to see it properly, but she is wrapped around this massive pillar, which kind of fits in with the whole ancient Greek theme of that teaser. But the detail of this thing looks absolutely incredible, and I don't doubt that this is going to be an expensive model. Let's just take a super quick look at the actual video itself. The thing about this teaser is they kind of put all of this stuff right in the way so you can't actually see the model properly, but the little glimpses you do get shows just this phenomenal detail and size. So there you go, there's the tail wrapped around. You actually get a better view of the scales from this angle where I've paused it. All this rubbish in the way so we can't see, and that was pretty much all we saw. But there you get a better look at the spear, and you can tell that it definitely looks like Morathi's spear. And there you go, you can see the way it forks at the end there, and you've got this bit that kind of points up and that bit that points down. So if you have a closer look at Morathi's spear, it looks exactly the same. But again, look at the detail on these wings, and yep, that's all, unfortunately, that we get to see of her, but before it takes us back to this view of her standing amongst the army. But yep, that was pretty much the release. I'm super excited about it. I think it looks absolutely fantastic. I'm not sure how this alternate form of Morathi is going to work. I'm wondering if maybe you have to kill a certain number of people, and as you offer her more blood, she becomes more able to transform into a more powerful form. I would almost like it if it was the complete opposite, and that basically she's actually the hideous demon form and she needs rituals to return her back to her sort of quote-unquote beautiful state. Because if you know anything about Morathi of old, she was basically ancient, and she was basically doing these rituals to keep herself young and beautiful. It would be kind of cool if that was still going on, where she's this horrible, hideous demon, and she actually has to do these rituals to kind of keep herself looking human. But obviously that wouldn't translate anywhere near as interesting on the tabletop as if she starts off normal and then has to try and achieve this demonic state where she's super powerful. But anyway, I am super excited. I don't know how many armies I actually collect at the moment for Age of Sigmar. I've lost count, and I'm gonna have to start collecting these two because, to be honest, all along, this is the faction I would have wanted. If I could have picked one faction, it probably would have been Aelves, and there was just something about the Dark Elves that I was always drawn to. But anyway guys, stay awesome as always. Your support has been absolutely incredible. Thank you so much. I'm so excited that all of these leaks and rumours that I was posting about turned out correct. And hopefully, who knows, we may actually see a second elf faction later this year. Even if we don't, I'm personally super happy. We've got these incredible looking sculpts and they're just going to completely freshen up the Daughters of Cain and the Dark Elves faction at the moment. And as for the new Morathi model and the demonic one, I kind of just can't wait to see more of them. But as I said, you guys are the best. Your support has been absolutely tremendous. I can't thank you enough for all of the encouragement that I'm getting. It's the only thing that makes stuff like last night, where I worked my backside off to get that extra little video out for you guys, possible. But yep, we've had loads and loads of news recently. We've obviously got these new Fireslayer warbands that have been revealed. We know exactly how the Malign Portents global campaign is going to go. We've got so many updates to talk about, and I don't doubt that we are going to see a lot more of these models soon. And when the Battletome comes out, I really want to talk about all of the contents in that too. But stay awesome guys, and I will see you guys really soon.